Okay, so here's a tasty indices question, and we're going to have a bit of fun with this one. Now, there's a number of ways we can go about it, but if we follow the BIDMAS or PEDMAS, it might be a nice idea just to sort out inside the brackets first, right? Because there's this tasty little negative exponent, and remember the negative tends to flip the fraction here, and then we power up to 2. So, I mean, we could go ahead and sort this out first, but I don't know, it just feels right that we go and start with the inside the bracket first, just to see if we can make it a bit more simplified before we do this negative exponent on the outside, right? So let's go and start with the inside. I'm actually going to break this up a little bit. I'm going to line it up, separated with a dot for a multiplication, right? Just as a separator. Then on the denominator, I'm going to line them up in the same order with the numbers first, and then the letters in alphabetical order. Now we know that expression is all going to be to the power of -2, but I'm just going to deal with the parentheses first. So I'm just going to make a little note, parentheses, I suppose that's a fancy word for brackets, right? Parentheses. Is that how you spell it? Parentheses or brackets. Okay, now let's go ahead and think carefully about this. If I have some factors, things multiplied together, then doesn't it make sense that I can actually just break these apart as 3 separate fractions? Can you see that? That if you have factors multiplied on the numerator and denominator, we can break it apart. Now I can just do those each as 3 separate calculations, right? And the first one I'm just going to simplify, right? This can simplify to -1/4. And now we have that exponent rule, right? On a division, we subtract exponents. -3 subtract 2. So that's times by x to the -3 subtract 2. And then the same with the y. -1 subtract -4. So we take care here, this is times by y. -1 subtract -4. And so finally we've got -1/4. And that's times by x to the -5. And that's times by y. Be careful here, negative here. That then turns into a plus. And so we've got y to the -1 plus 4, that's y to the 3. And finally I'll put that back over, right? Each of those are over 1. And so the final answer here is we've got negative x to the -5 times y cubed, and that's divided by 4. Okay, now let's go ahead and grab this. Now grab it? Okay, let's go and grab this. Let's bring it up to here. And now let's put it back in the parentheses that we had and put a -2 here. Okay, -2 here. So we are going to deal with the negative piece first. The negative piece means we're going to flip the answers here. All right. The negative will stay where it is. Okay. And now this is to the power of 2. So we distribute the power of 2 to each of the terms inside the bracket, because the bracket is multiplication. So it's -4 squared on the numerator, and it's x to the -5 to the -2 times y to the 3 to the 2. And we will finish this off. -4, I'll just get my pointer, -4 squared, that would be positive 16 here. -5 times -2 would be -10, positive 10, sorry. That would be x to the positive 10. Sorry, that's a 2 there, right? So let me just make sure that's very visible. That's a 2 that we're distributing the power, right? -5 to 2. So that's 16 divided by x to the -10 times by y to the 6, but then we go back and check the starting point, which was there should be no negative indices in the final answer. So we've got just one more step to go, 16 here. This is x to the -10, and this is y to the 6. And the x to the -10 we can rewrite and put the x to the power of 10 on the numerator and y to the 6 on the denominator. And we have indeed finished.